Good evening. An earthquake measuring 5 on the Richter scale has rocked the Eyre Peninsula, frightening thousands of local residents. Seismologists say it was felt hundreds of kilometres away, but there are no reports of major damage.
The earthquake struck at 7:17 this morning, 10 kilometres east of Cleve on the Eyre Peninsula. For more than 2 minutes, Cleve's seismograph ink pen went right off scale.
Sounded a bit like a truck was coming towards us. Just hear the noise and then house started shaking.
Then the bed shook and the cupboard rattled and then off it went again.
Several aftershocks followed throughout the day.
I could see the actual quarter of our house shaking and I got really scared.
Shockwaves were felt at Port Lincoln, Port Augusta, across the York Peninsula, even in Adelaide. In Whyalla, locals were blaming one still.
I thought it could have been the blast furnace or something blowing up again.
Seismologists all over Australia are excited. The event's rated a mention on a US website.
The last one of this magnitude was about 50 years ago on the Eyre Peninsula, and generally we get one earthquake of this magnitude per year throughout Australia.
There are reports of minor structural damage in dozens of homes. The earthquake comes less than 2 months after the state was shaken by a tremor measuring 3.8 in the Adelaide Hills, but there's no simple explanation.
These two certainly aren't connected. Whether they're both related to some other slight change that we don't know about, well, we don't know yet.
Jessica Adamson, 7 News.
A man described as one of the state's most dangerous criminals is back behind bars after a month on the run. It's the second time former prison officer Rodney Clavell's breached his parole, and police had feared another violent shootout.
This was the dramatic shootout at Mount Pleasant 5 years ago between police and Rodney Clavell, who was behind the wheel of a stolen 12-ton grader. He was shot by a police sniper, then tasered. Released from prison on April 21, Clavell allegedly breached his parole days later. The hunt was on and the public warned. Last night, acting on a tip-off, police converged on his sister's Mitchell Park home.
I just saw lots of Staff Force police and some of the neighbours were out in the street.
The fugitive was arrested near a railway track just metres from the home, but family members weren't commenting today.
Did you hear or see anything last night? Were you worried there might be a shootout with police and Rodney?
Last October, Clavell spent 10 days on the run after breaching his parole days after being released. On that occasion, he turned himself into a police station. Neighbours are relieved this time he again chose to surrender quietly.
Especially with the other families around with young kiddies.
It's not yet clear whether anyone will be charged with harbouring the fugitive, but 7 News understands that's unlikely as Clavell was arrested near a railway track, not at a house. Clavell's being held in the cells at Sturt Police Station. He'll be transferred to Yatala tomorrow. Michelle Vella, 7 News.